Okay, let's look now at the next guiding question. And this is actually how to calculate the net present value, or also abbreviated NPV, of an investment. And as a quick definition up front, net present value is the sum of the discounted values of the cash flows from the investment. Or to put it more simple, the money we receive in the future, we translate that to what it is worth today, and then we actually compare this to what we actually invested into the project. Well, before we're able to calculate the net present value, we actually have to know how to calculate the present value. And for this, we've got a very simple formula. Well, here you can see what it actually means, the abbreviations, and here you can see the formula. So the present value is the cash flow of the future, divided by 1 plus R, and R is the interest rate. So the interest rate could be, for example, the money we would receive if we put our money on the bank account. And then raised to the power of years. So let's say I receive 700 euro in 1 year. Then simply what we have to do is to take the 700 and divide this by 1 plus the interest rate. So let's say, well, we have a bank interest of 2%. So I just put this here, 2% interest. Then what we can say is 1 plus 0.02, which is the 2%, and it's in 1 year, so raised to the power of 1. And if we then calculate this, we have the present value of the 700 euro. So now we know how to calculate the present value, but we still have to find out how to calculate the net present value. And this is very simple, and the formula is also very, very similar. So you can see this here actually stays the same. The only difference is that we have to subtract what we initially invested into the project. So let's say I initially invested 500 euro into the project. So let's say this is 500. Then simply what I have to do is to take the present value and subtract the 500. And then I will know what the net present value of that investment is. So basically I can then see if the investment makes sense or not. And the decision rule actually is, if the NPV is positive, we should do the investment. And well, we will practice this now with a case study. Okay, let's now look at the case study for today's lesson. And as I told you, we will use that case study to actually try out the different investment appraisal methods. So the case study is as follows. So a soccer player changes clubs for a price of 50 million euro. For each goal that he scores in the new club, he will actually generate 1 million of cash flow for the new club. And in the following table you can see the performance of the player. So you can see year 1, year 2 and year 3. So in year 1 he scores 20 goals, so this is 20 million euros in cash flow, 25 in year 2 and 10 in year 3. So then the next information is that the player is sold again at the end of the 3rd year to another club for 10 million euros. Then finally, alternatively, the investment could have been put or could be put on a bank account for a 5% interest. And now you're actually asked to calculate the net present value of that investment. All right, let's now look at the calculation of the net present value from that case study. So it makes sense that we actually start with drawing a timeline and seeing what happens at which point in time. So at the beginning, in year 0, we have the initial investment of 50 million. In year 1, he scores 20 goals, so a cash flow of 20 million. Here it's 25 goals, so a cash flow of 25 million. And in the last year, he scores 10 goals, but is also sold to another club for 10 million. So if we put this here, we see it's 50 million, 20, 25, and 2 times 10 million. So what we then have to do is to simply apply the formula of the present value calculation for each one of those. Well, what do we have to do here? Well, we don't have to do anything because it's already at today's money terms. So it's already today, so we don't have to translate it to today. Well, here we have to take the 20 million divided by 1 plus the 5% raised to the power of 1. And we do the same thing also for the others, and we simply change the years. So raised to the power of 1, raised to the power of 2, and raised to the power of 3. And then we simply have to calculate this. Well, we take the initial investment, which is a negative 50 million, and then we add all the cash flows. Or what we can also do is, first of all, add all the cash flows or discounted cash flows together, and then subtract the 50 million. So if we do this, we see the 50 million stays 50 million. We got the 20 million goes to 0.48. The 25 goes to 22.676, and the 20 million goes or becomes 17.277. And if we solve that calculation now, we see the net present value of the player transfer is a positive 9.001 million euro. And well, since it's positive, the investment should be made. So let's look at some conclusions of the net present value. And conclusion is, first of all, it directly relates to shareholder wealth. Because if we have a 9 million of net present value, our shareholders are 9 million better off. Then, time value of money is properly reflected because we discount all the cash flows that we get and therefore reflect how much those cash flows are worth today. Then finally, it's quite practical to use because we simply take all the values, discount them, and compare this with the initial investment. And so basically, all the three different parts are checked. So what we can say as a conclusion is a very good method to use.